I want you to unpack that sentence for us again real quick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the question. The Department of Justice, all of these claims with regard to the $130,000 from Ms. Daniels stem from a complaint that was filed at the Federal Election Commission following the 2016 election.
Which you guys were investigating.
We were in the process of investigating that.
And the DOJ came to you and said, stand down, we're taking over, and give us your information.
They asked us to abate that and several other
DOJ
matters.
meeting the Southern District of New York.
That's correct.
They took your information, and you voted to stand down and give it to the federal authority, right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
And they determined that there was nothing there to prosecute other than Michael Cohen.
That's correct. Now, they took a very long time in doing it, and when they sent it back to us, we had no more authority to investigate because they sent it back to us, and we were barred by the statute of limitations from even investigating the normal civil things that we would look at with regard to those type of expenditures.
But your point here is they've sat idly by and allowed a state officer to assert federal jurisdiction where they themselves had intervened, to use the word, and taken jurisdiction from you and concluded there was nothing there regarding a federal statute, right?
That is
a, quote, federal crime that they come up with somewhere.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman, and I don't know what role Mr. Coangelo played in that investigation that took place when they took it away from the Federal Election Commission, did that investigation, and then he later left the office to go prosecute this at the state level.
Well, we're going to find that out on July 12th when Mr. Colangelo will be sitting in your seat, Mr. Bragg will be sitting in Ms. Foley's seat, and we'll get a chance to ask him. Ms. Foley, Mrs. Foley, excuse me, the Democrats talk about, jury of his peers. Okay, fine, that's how our system works. But if President Trump didn't learn what the unspecified crime was until the jury got the instructions from the judge, that sort of changes the dynamic a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not blaming the jury. I mean,
of course.
The jury, has to operate according to the instructions provided by the judge. The poison here, the poison pill, are the jury instructions themselves, which provided the notice, but it came too late for purposes of due process. So yeah, I mean, you can't correct that through a bad set of jury instructions. If there's a due process defect because he learned too late, you have to redo the trial. You have to reverse the conviction, and then the prosecutor has to decide if they want to. Yeah.
I was an economics major. I mean, a major focused on wrestling, but you had to get a degree. I got one in economics, and they talk about this opportunity cost. If you don't know what the issue is, you miss the opportunity to maybe focus in on the issue as the defense counsel, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of important, particularly when you're talking about what kind of sentence they may try to impose on the president on July 11th. That's kind of important, right?
It's kind of important, and I would suggest that any member of this committee who faced similarly amorphous charges or a loved one would be absolutely incensed by facing these kinds of charges, where it was a moving target.
You're not the only constitutional scholar who's raised this concern, this, I think, huge concern. Mr. Dershowitz, Mr. Turley, I mean, other esteemed constitutional scholars have said the same thing.
I'm in good company. I think there's a general consensus that there are some due process problems here.
You sure are. Mr. Attorney General, July 15, 2021, Alvin Bragg. I'm the candidate in the race who has the experience with Donald Trump, and I think it'd be hard to argue with the fact that that'd be the most important, most high-profile case, and I've seen him up front and seen the lawlessness that he could do. That's what he said as a candidate. Does that fit with kind of the ethics of someone who's a member of the bar and running for a district attorney's position? Is that how you're supposed to conduct yourself in a campaign?
Absolutely not. That abhorrent statement is an incurable impropriety that should have disqualified Alvin Bragg from prosecuting that case.
Yeah. Not to mention, then when he gets the job, he looks at the facts, looks at all the evidence, and he concludes, like, this case, I shouldn't prosecute it. I should do what the Federal Elections Commission did, not prosecute. What the Southern District of New York did, not prosecute. What my predecessor, Cy Vance, did, not prosecute. That's what he wanted to do until the political pressure came. They talk about us all the time, pressure. Came from the left. Mark Pomerantz left his job, volunteered, goes and becomes an assistant district attorney to go after President Trump. And then when Alvin Bragg gets there and looks at how crazy the case is, Michael Cohen's going to be their star witness, he goes, this is crazy. I'm not doing it. I'm not that crazy. But then they leak, Pomerantz resigns, leaks the letter, and all the left goes crazy. And Alvin Bragg says, now I'm going to do what I said during the campaign, even though I know it's wrong. And that's what happened. And then they got a judge who went along with all the crazy things Ms. Foley's pointed out. That's the story, and that story is consistent with the facts.